By mid-October, the bucks have settled firmly into their fall ranges. We have a number of targets in mind, and all of our patterning efforts now focus on waiting for the triggers, those green lights that tell us to push the action. We pined for one of three events: the passing of a cold front, several daylight photos of a shooter, or the onset of November's rut. Jared Mills is spurred into action by the second trigger, several daylight photos of his number one buck, the nomadic Reggie. Knowing that the buck historically leaves the property sometime in October, Jared pushes deeper, taking more chances than he otherwise might as he focuses on a tiny microplot in the heart of Reggie's core.
Well, it's the afternoon of October 15th, and Mike and I are ready to go for the night. It's about as perfect of a day as you can ask for mid-October. Came to a little secluded clover plot. It's a transition plot as the deer kind of work their way out of the bedding and out to the big ag fields to the south of us at night. The biggest problem with this plot that I've run into, I've hunted a couple times, and both times I've got busted by deer upwind. So something about, Mike and I were just kind of chatting about it, something about this ditch behind us, or just some way the wind rolls around once it gets past us, it kind of goes back upwind. And there's one spot at the top of the hill in this plot that the deer always seem to bust us. So the deer we're specifically after tonight is this deer I've been calling Reggie. He's been very active in this area. In fact, I think maybe 3 or 4 mornings ago, he was in this plot in daylight, or just outside the plot in daylight. But I've had him a number of times since probably September in this spot. So I know he's bedded around here somewhere, and he's the primary target tonight. So we'll see. The weather's perfect. Let's just hope the wind cooperates long enough to hopefully get a shot. There's not much more frustrating than that. So that's the deer we came in after. Reggie stepped out the top of the food plot. There was 2 other bucks, and I don't know which one got our wind. I think it might have been the 2-year-old that was over to the right, but we have a northwest wind tonight, and those deer were directly north to the northwest of us. So this wind is doing something here, but you know, you look at an aerial map and it looks perfect, northwest wind. back in this ditch. Looks good, but until you get in the stand, you don't really know. So the good thing is it's still early. It's, like I said, 5:15, so Mike and I are gonna hurry up and get down. There's a plot out towards our trucks, with the kind of the way that those deer were going. I think in the evenings they come either through this plot or that one as they go to the ag field. So we're just gonna go try to do a quick hanging hunt for the last hour, 45 minutes of daylight.
Sometimes the risk pays off, and sometimes it doesn't. As Jared's hunt comes to a close, he shreds any hope of hunting that stand again. The wind is too squirrely there. It's back to the drawing board. Staying comfortable and hydrated through long, sweaty days requires a class-leading cooler, one that can take the abuse of life in a pickup bed and still hold ice for days. That is why American-made Grizzly coolers go with us on every scouting trip. Hoyt has been a standard of the bow hunting community for more than a generation. Each year, the company designs bows that are more accurate and more dependable than the year before. Redworks is their most recent offering to carry on this legendary standard. Nikon offers a wide range of optics for the hunting community. From laser rangefinders to scopes and binoculars, the technology they put into their products has always been cutting edge. We depend on Nikon for non-stop performance regardless of weather or light conditions. For more than 40 years, Wasp Archery has been making durable and dependable broadheads. They set the standard for the industry when they invented the first replaceable blade broadhead in 1972. This family-owned brand is built on a generation of innovation and continues to be made right here in the United States. Wasp offers a broadhead model for every style of bow hunting. Check them out at wasparchery.com. Nine days after Jared's failed attempt on Reggie, I come off the bench as well. Reacting quickly to trigger number 1, a cold front is rolling through, bringing with it a perfect north wind. Time for another invasion on the wide tens core area.
It's the 24th of October, and it's one of the first really cool days that we've had this whole bow season. We're here almost 3 hours before the end of legal shooting time. We just had 7 deer on this little food plot behind me. Something out in the field they didn't like and they cleared out, but they'll be back out again before long, and hopefully there'll be a couple bucks that come out with them. There he is. You see him? Ha. Looks a lot bigger in person. That was really cool. That's the first time I've seen that buck. I think it's the first time I've ever seen him on the hoof. He was right back in the back end of the other side of the food plot. Definitely a cool looking deer, but hopefully they'll be back out again. That's the second time they've cleared the field in the last 40 minutes. I know what's going to happen here.
Good.
He's at 35. You ready? Dang. Eh. Eh. I think we might be done for the night now. Dang it. Got something going on down here. I think he hit the spot where we crawled in, sneaking in so those does wouldn't see us, because when he came back across, he was acting a little bit spooky. And when I grunted to stop him, he just took off. So, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. He might pop back out again. He doesn't know we're here, but I think he smelled the human scent on the ground, because right where he went, when he cut across in front, was right where we crawled coming in. So he had to have smelled it. Yeah, it's too bad, because we really had him in our front pocket there. I made a mistake when I let my bow down when he was walking toward me. I don't think he's coming back out again tonight. Bedding down. Oh, that's funny. After he ran across the plot and I grunted and he spooked, I didn't think I'd see him again, but he popped right back out again. We're going to stay after this buck, and I think it should be a fun little cat and mouse game for us for a while here. I don't think he's going anywhere. He seems totally comfortable using this spot. So as long as we don't do something stupid, there's a pretty good chance that we can bring you at least another chapter in this story and maybe eventually get our tag wrapped around the wide 10.
Frigid Forge Trophy Clover is my choice when creating poor man's plots, small food plots that we make on a budget using just hand tools. This seed blend has several varieties, and at least one does well in every condition. The seed germinates well and grows fast, producing a huntable food plot by the first fall. Positioning of the Ozonics unit is important to its effectiveness. With this in mind, Ozonics makes several different mounting systems that you can use to attach the unit to the tree or the ground blind in the perfect position to rain ozone down on your scent stream. I've had a lot of success hunting near food plots, but before you can hunt them, you have to get them growing. And the key to growing a good plot is getting the seed in the ground at the right depth and the right rate. RTP's Genesis no-till seeder has done a great job for me on our farm. I take my quiver off when I'm whitetail hunting. By removing the quiver, I make the bow lighter and easier to handle in the stand, but I also reduce the side profile, so if the wind is blowing, it doesn't have as much surface area to push against. Fused quivers are all quickly detachable, and they have convenient loops on which to hang them in the tree stand. Rut behavior cranks up as we dance into the last week of October. Scrapes appear where they haven't been for 9 months, and the action only promises to accelerate as the fall's coldest front bears down on the Midwest. 3 days later, in 100 miles to the east, Jared Mills goes after Reggie for the 3rd time. Rather than risk alerting the buck by going in too deep, Jared heads for the trophy clover plot on the fringe of the buck's range.
It's just before 4:30 here, and Josh and I made really good time getting over this farm and hanging 2 stands in this little pine tree. We're not very far up. I've found this tree a number of times, and it usually works out pretty well. It's a cool spot. It's a little internal clover plot. It can be hard to hunt on these gusty wind days. In this pine tree grove, I have to rely on the deer coming out into the clover, but it's pretty easy for them to just stay in the pines. If they're not actually coming out to feed, they can walk anywhere. There's nothing that kind of dictates their movement. We'll see what happens. We just basically give up everything that's behind us, and hopefully the deer come out in front. Super windy, obviously, but hoping for a good night of movement. There's that doe. There's a deer behind her, dude. All I can see is his face. Yeah. Oh, yep. That's a good buck. Good brow. He's through those pines. He's got to come down that lane behind that doe.
That's a buck.
Yep, there's that buck.
Get your buck. That's a big deer. That's a nice deer. He comes behind this doe.
It's just after 5:30, and I don't know what buck that is. Just a good, solid, mature deer. Took forever trying to figure out who he was, but finally I decided that if he came in, I'd shoot him. And when he finally decided to come into range, he chased that doe through my shooting lane so quick that I couldn't stop him. But those doe fawns are still right over here, and it's still super early, so I think there's a good chance that they come back out.
What? Okay, I'm on her.
Yeah, that's him.
That's him? Okay, I'm on her. Yeah, I can take it, brother. I'm on her. Look at the brush right now, so let him get out here.
Good.
Yeah.
Meh. Meh.
Mom.
Got him.
Yeah, mom stuff.
Well, it's 5:40, and as you can tell, that buck and doe didn't stay in the pines very long. They came right back out, and I ranged the doe as she was trotting by at 34, and it looked like he was kind of trotting a few yards inside of that, so I shot him for 30, and I missed both low and forward, as you can see, so I'm not too happy about that. So I don't know. Don't really know what to expect. I don't have a great gut feeling on it. I just don't know what I did. So, probably get down, look at the arrow, look at the blood trail, make a decision from there. Well, here's where he jumped into that ditch. There's two really good spots of blood. Good spray there, good spray here. But it's starting to get dark. It's actually starting to snow flurry a little bit. But I forgot my recovery light at home, and it doesn't hurt to give him an extra hour or so. So we're gonna run home, grab the recovery light, and come back up. But these first couple spots look good, and the fact that my arrow was broke off, I think, is a good sign. Well, we're back in the food plot here. This is the little lane he ran up on, so we're gonna get to where we saw him go across the corner and just try to pick up the blood there. There on that leaf right here, good blood there. Hey, see that? Got him.
Oh boy.
He didn't. How far did he go? 40 yards? And then food plots. We just came around the corner is all. Let's go look at him. The body on that thing. Man, tank of a body. I just can't believe he didn't go anywhere. Oh man, he's stiff. He definitely died right away. Cool buck. Big old head on him. I'm gonna grab my tag here out of my pack, and the lane's just 5 yards away there. Get him tagged up and get a better look at him. It was a fun hunt tonight. You know, I mentioned I came in for that buck I call Reggie Jackson. I had another new buck show up on camera the last few days. This is a deer I didn't necessarily know of. I'm sure if I look hard enough, I'll find some pictures of him. But it kind of came down to, it was just too cool of a hunt, too cool of an encounter, and too hard to pass up a mature buck like this. You know, you can't beat that late October time frame, especially when you combine it with that cold front we just had rolled through. I mean, this has been probably the coldest day of the year so far. It actually started spitting snow when we started trailing this deer. So it's just a cool night to be in the stand. It's so fun watching these big mature bucks try to find that first hot doe. So I'm fortunate to have a buck down, and I'm extremely happy with him. He's just a cool mature buck.
Many people think that arrows just need to be straight to be accurate, but that is only half of the story. They also must have a consistent spine around the arrow and from one arrow to the next. Easton has been making arrows longer than any other company. Doug Easton started making arrows in 1922. The company continues to thrive because its people understand what makes for an accurate arrow. We love redneck blinds because they permit easy shots in every direction. The vertical corner windows make it possible to take shots of any distance without having to raise up or drop down. Also, the increased visibility of all these windows makes the overall experience more enjoyable. Realtree makes 12 different styles of their famous and highly functional easy hanger. You can find one that is perfect for holding your bow close at hand, stowing your gear, or positioning a video camera where you can easily capture your hunt. There's even a model that allows you to quickly attach a trail camera to a tree. The right underwear is just as important as the right outerwear. Layering is critical to staying warm, and one of the steps that I take every time I go to the tree stand is to put on my Cabela's ECWS thermal underlayer. Keeps you warm even under some of the coldest conditions.
There's not much more frustrating than that, so that's the deer we came in after.
It's one of the first really cool days that we've had this whole bow season. There he is. You see him? Looks a lot bigger in person.
I've found this tree a number of times. It usually works out pretty well. Hey, see that?
Oh yeah.
Got him.
Late October cold fronts shoot us up with whitetail hunting's most addicting drug, adrenaline. With their blend of refreshingly crisp blue sky days and pulse-pounding pre-rut action, these final 7 days call to us from the sweaty depths of summer and the seemingly perpetual darkness of late winter. When the mercury cowers low and the steel gray sky threatens, that is whitetail hunting's ultimate trigger. Take the day off, call in sick. Whatever you have to do, just be out there. Only one thing beats late October chills. We are almost there now. In only a few days, we will be chasing November.